Hey, Stars and Stripes RC with you here today with the new FMS A-18 Hornet 64 millimeter. The wingspan on it is 28.9 inches, the length 39.7 inches. Powering it is a 2840 3150 kV outrunner motor. It does have a 12-bladed fan. It has 40 amp ESC in it and has 5.9 gram digital servos. The CG calls for 45 to 55 millimeters from the leading edge of the wing. It does feature navigation lights, simulated trailing link main gear with a shock absorbing nose gear, and ball links on all of the surfaces. The tail surfaces are glue-on, which I'm not a fan of. We'll go more into that as far as the rudders go, since the rudders aren't servo driven and don't have surfaces, then that's not a big deal as far as gluing those in. But we'll take a look at the elevator halves in a few. Again, CG calls for 45 to 55 millimeters from the leading edge. I have from RC Battery 4-cell 2200 Lapierre, 4-cell 2200 Lapierre Pros, and 4-cell 3300s here, which I do fly my F-16 64 millimeter on these, and it works fine. So I'll see if they fit. I'll try that. It does come with your fuselage, wing, and wingtip missiles, and a fuselage auxiliary tank, or oil tank as they call it in the manual, and 2 wing auxiliary tanks as well. So I was in RC Plane Reviewers blog online last week, and the discussion came up about 64 millimeter jets, and people made their comments and their suggestions. A lot of people aren't into the 64 millimeter size jets. People like those guys and myself, who's been flying 70, 80, and 90 millimeter jets for a long time. But what we do here is, me and my buddy Justin, we go out, and once in a while, and that's all we take, is our 64 millimeter jets, and we have a blast. I don't mind them. I like them. I think one of the downfalls is the gear. They don't retract. People want retracts in these smaller jets. It's not that they don't like them, but they want them scale. They want them to have retracts, and I can understand that. Also, a lot of guys only have grass fields, and the smaller jets like this just doesn't handle grass very well. So having a paved runway is ideal for these smaller jets like this. Also, there's people that have limited space as far as transporting airplanes to the field, so the smaller jets benefit them. And this could be maybe a first jet for somebody that's approaching the intermediate or less flying level. So there's benefits to having these small jets, and like I said, I love to fly them. They're a lot of fun. I've got the parts laid out here, so we can get into the parts. And of course, always the instruction manual. These are your ordnance here for your wings and wing tips and fuselage. They are painted, which is nice. They're not just white foam with little accent strips here that make it look much, much better than just bare foam. The fuselage belly missiles, as you can see, These are the only ones that actually glue on, so they have to go on and glue on at that point there. I really don't know that I'll do that. We'll see. The rest of them do have the tongue and groove method of popping them on and popping them off. So looking at the first wing panel here, the paint, I got this, the paint is just spotless. It's just perfect. No air, no problems with the finish, no problems with, dents or dings in the foam. You'll see that each wing has a navigation light here on the wing tip. This wing does have a sticker here and here. Now the hinges are all foam hinges, but they did put some kind of material in there to help strengthen that and keep that from breaking loose really quickly. I can see some kind of silicone or something in there, but no quick connects on this. You have your servo leads for your aileron here and the light lead here on each wing. Looking at the bottom, they did use the tape to cover the wires, which is really nice. The servos are glued in, but they are covered with that tape there, and you can see the ball links here. The control horns are glued in, so I always check those prior to flight to make sure that they are glued in good, and that's something that everybody should do. I do pre-flight check before I even build them, much less pre-flight check every other time I fly. So, because the reason being, these screws, little screws in the ball links, can work loose. On my last one, I had 3 of these that were stripped into plastic, so I had to move them down a hole. So always test those things, before you put it together and fly it. This is the other wing panel. Nothing to really note here other than the wingtip light on here. You got your rudders. Like I was saying, they are not they are not servo driven. As you can see, there's no surface on those. So it's what we call a yank and bank, which are a lot of fun to fly, in my opinion. Nice decal placement on each rudder. The inside of them are just the plain painted. The black part is peel and stick as well. Now on the rudders, you can see where on the fuselage here, where they glue in, they have a slot here, which they do fit fairly snug, but not really snug, but they do glue in at that point as such. Looking at your elevator halves, nothing to really note here other than the finish on it is really nice. No flaws at all. Again, foam hinges. And as far as your elevator halves go, this is the reason why I don't like gluing stuff like this on. As you can see, the elevator servos are placed as such on each side. And so you want to always test those, make sure they work prior to gluing anything in. Because once you glue this in, then you may be able to get that servo out. I don't know. It would be kind of hard to do so versus just having to pry up on it without this being glued in. So test your servos before you glue stuff in, guys. That'll save you some trouble later. Got your nose cone here with a nice little plastic piece here, scale piece here. The nose of it is plastic, not just foam, and it just pops on like so. You have your simulated trailing link main gear. As you can see, it is wire, but they have a nice thick plastic here that surrounds that and makes it even stronger from bending with some scale detail on the plastic. And then your front nose gear with the nice dual wheels. It is shock absorbing, and it is CNC machined. And then they covered it with the plastic scale detail parts like that. These are your wing tanks here. This one will be in the belly of the fuselage, and these will be on the wing tips. They again are painted and have nice little decals on the sides of those. You got your little wing spar here, your control rods, screws here. Looking at the bottom of the fuselage, nothing much to note here other than the paint. Again, the finish is really, really nice. There is a little bit of paint missing here and here, but that belly tank will cover that up. I'm not real worried about that, or I'll just kind of cover that up with some silver Sharpie or something. Some nice scale pieces here up front. Looking at the top, nice little scale detail here in plastic on the top of the fuselage. Nice decals on here in the back, as well as the nose up front. The pilot, oh, you do have a nice little push button release for the canopy. That's really nice. The pilot is what it is. It's an OK jet pilot looking guy in there with a little sticker for the instrument panel there. Now looking inside, it is reverse thrust capable if you want to go to the expense or have an 8-channel receiver laying around. I really doubt this really needs reverse thrust, but it is there if you want it. Looking at the connectors in the XT60 with plenty of wire coming out, you know, which I like. Sometimes they get these way too short. And then plenty of room in here for your battery to move it forward or back, however the CG is, whatever you need to do to get the CG on it. You're looking at the 3300. It is just going to be too much of a tight fit for this, so I'll either have to get a 2600, which they recommend, or use my 2200s in there. I'm guessing that you're not going to get a whole lot of flight time on a 2200, but that'll be something that I'll be testing on the maiden flight video, and we'll let you guys know. So again, the FMS FA-18 Hornet. I'm going to dare to guess that in the near future, it's very possible that you'll be seeing this in a big twin 70. I'm hoping they do anyway. Maybe even in 2 different color schemes. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see what 2025 brings, guys. Be sure and look for my discount codes for FMS, as always, in the description, as well as a link to RC battery and a link for 5280 RC. Check that guy out. He's got some really awesome afterburners for a lot of the FMS jets. Thanks for watching.